Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Essential Womb Whispers, the podcast by the House of Sacred Space, and to our beautiful and unapologetic, and I wouldn't say on the whim, but and I don't like the word random either, unapologetically present series, Unfiltered, with
Yeah,
RIHAAB and RIZANA.
yeah.
Hello, RIHAAB. How have you been?
I've been good actually. Things have been slower, so I've been able to, chill a little bit, which is super important.
Nice,
Just got
nice,
my
nice.
round done this morning, so that was fun.
A crown
Uh,
in the morning. Okay.
yes,
Nice.
early in the morning, very early, and now I'm
I
here.
mean, you gotta get things done when you gotta get things done.
Absolutely. Super early morning, but no regrets. How have you been?
Oh, I've been good. I've been good. Been very, very busy. I mean, last week was the kids' midterm break, and it was la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. They all know how it goes, but alhamdulillah. When they're off to school, I'm like, oh, thank you, Ya Rab, thank you. My whole schedule was off the rack. Alhamdulillah. It's been good. It's been good. We're launching some new products from the House of Sacred Space, some adult coloring books and stuff like that, journaling and coloring book. So watch out, space. It'll be
That
there.
is something I'm excited to see this and check
Yes,
out it.
it's a big one. It's about 150 pages.
Nice, nice.
It's a comprehensive journaling book with journaling pages where you can literally journal on the book while coloring. So we're doing
Best
that.
of both worlds.
Yes, very important. And this was very intense as well. So yeah, so exciting stuff. So listen, I wanted to ask you about one of your posts that you wrote before we go into today's topic. Um, it's been the one that you did recently about the bosses. I got
Oh,
a lot of comments on that after I posted, I mean, after I shared it on my stories. So, first of all, okay, today's topic is how that we as sacred females, it is difficult for us to adjust to new things, aka your crown. Like not the
yes.
one on your head, but the one in your mouth. So
No,
I
it's
mean,
worth
you're like
experiencing right
you're
now.
like, oh, like there's
Yes.
something there, uncomfortableness. So, so I think that is perfect for the post you made about bosses. And I think do you think that this sweet and sarcastic kind of a boss? Do you see that in men or do you see that in women more?
Ah, that's a good question. I think more women, because
Yeah.
women in general are a lot more. See, even if you look at people who are passive aggressive, it's mostly women, because men are
Mm,
known for external aggression.
mm,
Women is internal aggression. I'm not sorry, not internal is the wrong word. Indirect aggression.
mm, mm,
They'll sugarcoat it a little bit, you know? So
mm,
in that case, I definitely feel like it's more women who are like this. Even on LinkedIn, actually, I had a few comments and a few people inbox me, and
mm,
all of them all refer to female bosses doing things like
mm,
would be like with male bosses, it's everything's in your face for the most part. They have
mm,
to shout at you, they'll do it. Female bosses will smile and then, pull it out from under your feet. And they say it's not very, again, we can't stereotype.
yeah.
For the most part, again, I'm just giving you stats based on my experiences and what people have been telling me as well.
Like majority, like on the surface, like if you just skim the surface, you see that women are more sweet and sarcastic kind of. But
Yes, yes. Because anyway, the part that I told you about men and women, how men are more
mm,
direct in their aggression, women are more indirect, that's kind of a
mm,
known thing and
mm,
established thing. So in that case, generally, I've noticed that, like with male bosses, they'll kind of tell you. Sometimes some of them can be sweet, but they'll just give it to you straight for the most part, right? Or even they'll throw
mm,
more in your face. Whereas a female boss, they'll probably smile and look all supportive, but then not really support you at all, not have your back, when you need them. And especially with female bosses, right? You expect them to be very empathetic, that they would understand, because that's what females are known for. And then
To
when
be a
they
girl's girl.
yeah, it's very disappointing. And I mean, the number of in DMs I got, because especially on LinkedIn, people were telling me, unfortunately, we're being monitored on LinkedIn. Our comments are being monitored, so we can't speak up honestly. But I want to tell
Uh-huh.
you that I'm experiencing this right now, and it's horrible because people don't even like, you can't put a name to it, right? When you behave in this way, when bosses are like this, with outward obvious aggression, you can say, oh, yeah, he is a very aggressive, cruel boss. But when you sugarcoat it with smiles and you act nice, but at the end of the day, you're not there, all of that, it takes a mental toll on you. And when you don't feel appreciated, not a single word of encouragement, you have a bad day, you've lost a family member, it's just like,
Oh, oh,
oh, okay,
oh,
that's it.
oh.
So that is so much, it's very damaging, quite honestly. And I don't think, see, when we don't talk about these things, we don't realize sometimes that it is a problem, right? We just think, oh, that's a very distant boss, but no, that's not the right way of being a leader. They're a boss, yes, not a leader.
Leader, yes. And even I know a mentee of mine, she was going through a really personal situation, and she was working with, I mean, she's a freelancer, so she was working with someone, and then their client, she was working with their client as well. So, and this is a high level government place, okay? And the one she was actually talking to was a female, and but he had a subordinate, a male, but she was liaising with him. But then the female leader, so-called leader, was very aggressive, was very toxic, and verbally abusive,
Mm.
literally verbally abusive. Like, and she was going through a personal, a very close friend of ours passed away, and during the summer, and she was grappling with it. Like, I mean, she was alone in Dubai, and her family is not here, so she was grappling with this. It was a shock. It was an accident. So it's not like there was a terminal illness and they knew. No, it was just, she's like, I spoke to this person 2 days ago, and then bam, I get a news that they passed away, and she was in shock, and still she was working. Even though she told her boss, like the one she's working for, I am going through something, but I will complete the task. Still, she was working. Even though, and also the other person, the one on the other end, she also knew this because it was communicated to her. Still, she was aggressive. She was toxic. She was like, "Oh, I don't think you're fit for this. I don't think you're fit for this job. I don't think you're doing this." And my mentee was like, "Listen, I'm going through something, but I'm still completing the task. I'm not
Yes.
leaving the work." Then, like, why would you talk like this?
It's very hurtful and you get so demotivated. See, I've also worked in a few different places and I've
Mm,
experienced a variety of different bosses. I've had male bosses, I've had female bosses, good ones, bad ones, all of that.
mm,
And so I've vowed I would never ever be like that. So even
I
with
know.
some writers, like they could easily tell me, oh, I'm having a bad day today, or I'm really exhausted, or even people from my school, they can tell me, and I'm happy to cover for them. I'm happy to
Mm,
let them have that week off, right?
mm.
Because I mean, you only live once and you're at work most of the day. Work is such a huge part of your life. Why make that unpleasant? And genuinely,
But
I think,
why do they make it unpleasant?
see, sometimes it's the role as well, right? When people get into these leadership positions, some of them think, oh, I have to be a certain way. If I am nice to everyone, maybe they will walk over my head. Maybe they're not going to respect me. Maybe they won't treat me like a boss, especially if you are now they were your peers first and now you're their boss. So that, see, even like the Stanford prison experiment, where,
Mm, mm,
on roles as the prison guards and the prisoners, it's amazing how their behavior even changed. You know, the prison guards, they were acting, but these students became increasingly cruel because they fit into their, okay, I'm this role, this is how I'm supposed to be. And even the students playing the role of the prisoners, you know,
Mm.
eventually they started retreating into themselves and giving in and saying, you know what, I'm a prisoner. This is how I deserve to be treated. So when you take on a certain role, there are certain, you know, you think you have to be a certain way,
Mm.
right?
So what?
But I think it takes a strong person
Mm.
to be able to stand on your own and say, you know what, I'm going to do things this way and I'm going to do things the right way and genuinely try and do better. Because see, our generations, especially like I'm a millennial, and we just took a lot of things lying down. You know, we never pushed back. Like our bosses can be toxic, and we would say, okay, this is me working hard. This is the normal course of things, and we would tolerate it, right? But the younger generations, and I'm glad, I'm very happy about this.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't take things lying down like we did.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so it is definitely much needed because the longer you let these people continue doing things their way, just because that's how things are, how are we holding them accountable?
I'm Gen
So
X.
there were actually, interestingly, on LinkedIn, people tagging their ex-bosses and being like, this person treated me like this, or this company was so toxic, how they treated all of their employees. So the younger people are definitely calling them out, and that's fantastic. And I'm grateful actually that they're doing that because they're making the workplace acceptable and safe for everyone else as well. So which is again like fantastic. Oh,
Say
I
now
think
if
Luga
you,
is here.
sorry.
Luga is here.
Luga is here. Okay, guys. Now this is
Hi,
Luga.
I'm so sorry.
Hi,
I'm
Luga.
very sorry. Hi.
Okay, guys, this is
Hi.
Luga.
I'm very sorry. I was actually waiting for this email to come to my email, and I think it was sent to my WhatsApp, so I'm extremely sorry about this.
Luga, you're live
Nice to meet you all.
now.
And yeah,
Guys, this is Luga, and she's a guest speaker. And would you mind showing us your face, even though the podcast will only be audio? So Luga
okay.
is here to speak about women's the stress that the women handle and how it affects their health. So, hi Luga, how are you?
Hi. Hi, how are you? How's everyone doing? How's
We're all
everybody?
good, thank you. Luga, would you like to introduce yourself,
Yeah,
please?
sure. Oh, yeah, sure. So basically, I'm just gonna put my video off so that there is no, video lagging. I'm sure internet connections are not that great in where I am from. So uh, so basically, I would say I'm a researcher, and I
Mm-hmm.
have been working in the field of research for a very long time. And I actually studied social sciences, where I have the time to research on different anthropological subjects. And I have been working for Sri Lanka government as a researcher, and I
Wow.
also do part-time, writings for Daily Mirror, which I find very amusing, and that's where I can actually express my different opinions and ideas, things that people don't usually, take much notice of.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is something that I've been doing. And
Wow.
fun fact about me is I love cats. So yeah, that's that.
Luga, so you've come to the right platform. So this is called Unfiltered, and we speak about everything and anything and all things unfiltered every week, me and Rahab. And today we're actually talking about terrible bosses. So, and I would like your take on that. Like, why do you think men are like sweet and sarcastic, or are the women sweet and sarcastic as bosses?
Wow, that's a very interesting question, actually. I would actually say women are sweet when they're
Uh-huh.
required to be sweet, but they
Okay.
do also know how to toughen up. There's a very famous quote. Women are like tea bags. Might look
Ah,
ordinary, but when you dip us into hot water, you know how strong we can be. People
wow.
ordinary, you see this as ordinary, but we have a lot of power. We actually have a commanding voice in many of the
Mm-hmm.
forums and talks. So I would definitely say that, we have that strong persona. It's just we
Mm-hmm.
need to recognize that fearlessness inside us. We all have this. We just need
Wow.
to bring our voices outside. And
But
yeah, sometimes one honest voice is much more louder than all the men who could be, arguing about different random topics. Our female voices are very strong, very convincing, very negotiating, and has a lot of power.
we agree on all of that. Rahab, do you take it away now? We were talking about Rahab's post on Instagram about terrible bosses. Luga.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about Rahab's post, right? So, like we were saying that
Yeah.
uh, women bosses make the workspace more toxic.
Oh, actually, in order to talk about that topic, I feel like we women have been very workaholic at many times,
Okay.
and we've strived this thing called perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
And when things don't go exactly to plan, yes, a little bit of toxic level could arise among.
Mm-hmm.
And, this comes usually from, the overloaded stress of work that we have, the image or the persona that we are burdened over our shoulders to sort of maintain. So when these things come, there is a, knowing and unknowing level of toxicity that we sort of release from our end, but never to put down people, never to sort of like, dismiss other people's opinions, but more like sustaining and striving from your own workplace. So some people would put that in a selfishness point of view, which might look toxic to others. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a two side to each coin, I would say. There's two sides. Either you want to grow in the ladder to be who you are, and that could be viewed as, to some people, toxic, right? That she's not caring about her work, or she never moves out of her desk. She's always glued to the desktop. Could be
Mm-hmm.
viewed as workaholic for others, could be viewed as toxic to others. So I would say it's a very argumentative subject, and one that you can debate on.
Yeah, we agree. We agree.
Yeah.
Rahab.
Again,
Yeah.
I think kind of building on what Luga just said, women have more to prove, right?
Yes.
So we feel more responsible to achieve certain goals and things like that. So, and sometimes as when you are a female boss, some people have the tendency to kind of see we can't be we can't do certain things the way men do it because our styles are generally different, right?
Mm.
We still use, little things like little microaggressions, little keep that distance between you and your employees because you're worried that they might cross boundaries and try to be too friendly and expect too much from
Mm.
you. So
Mm.
then become inadvertently that terrible boss without sometimes intending to, right?
Correct.
But also for some people, it is a little intentional because, I mean, when you are given a position of power, it's a power trip, right?
Mm.
You have control now over all of these people. And it does power affects different people in different ways.
Different ways. Yes.
Yeah, so see, that's the thing with anything, you can't pigeonhole it or pick a side and say it's
Yeah.
100% this, 100%
Mm.
that.
Mm.
So many
Mm.
factors, we
Mm.
are social beings, and at the end of the day, we are influenced by so many factors. I mean, we can be having a bad day, and then some
True.
of us will take it out on our employees, and the rest
True.
of us would not. We would deal with it by ourselves, Some people might just show various, kind of give an attitude inadvertently, again, because you're stressed, right? So we all deal with things very, very differently. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is when you are in a position of power, you have to, well, you know what they say, with great power comes great responsibility.
Great responsibility. Yes,
Right.
Spider-Man.
So exactly. Yeah. So you have to be very mindful about how you act. So even when I have bad days, I think
Mm,
I'm even more mindful of how I respond to people, how I say things, because I'm thinking, am I being rude? Am I being sarcastic in some way? You know, can what I say be misinterpreted? Because just because I've had a bad day, I don't want that to impact people I'm dealing with in any way, because it's not fair to
correct.
them. No one
Correct.
deserves that. So it definitely, you have to, as a boss, be mindful, because none of us are perfect. I'm not perfect. You're
Mm,
not perfect. Luga's not perfect. No one's perfect, right? We
nobody
all
is.
have little quirks that, may not be the best thing. But that's self-awareness. We need to be very, very self-aware.
Self-aware. Yes.
Are we doing the right thing? Because even me, I'm constantly looking for ways to improve myself. Like, where am I falling short? How can I do better? And I'm happy always to take feedback from anyone. If you feel like, you know what, I'm not doing something right, tell me. I'm happy to learn from that, because none of us are perfect. What matters is that you try, is what I'm saying.
I just want to add
Interesting.
something to what we have just said. If
Yes,
you
sir.
take women in the workforce, we also have, the position of our works could be, taken away from us, when it comes to maternity leaves, we can be easily replaced. And,
Mm,
like also we women generally have different hormone levels, and I'm not saying
mm.
this is an excuse, but these things are
Thank
very
you.
much considered on the male perspective as a big challenge, and they kind of like use that against us. So in order to stand our ground, we do have to make our argumentative cases, which
Mm,
might look toxic for others, but
mm,
we're just these these issues also come around for a lot of women. You take leaves, or you could be replaced by another person from your job. These issues are also there, which is quite an interesting subject, isn't it? We have to talk about.
it is. So what I'm saying is, like, Rahab was not talking about women. It is me who always do the controversial pulling in. Rahab, sweetly, she wrote a very sweet article. She did that, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I can see this. Let me go, like, like, dig in here. That's my job. So like, as we look at, you're absolutely correct, because the hormonal issues, like, especially time like this, where we are bombarded with color, light, noise, and all kinds of things in our environment, literally, to affect the way we make a choice, and that affects our hormones as well. So like you said, a woman who's in a high position, she would already be, and it was written in Luga's article, right? That high cortisol, right? So she's already stressed out. Like, she's in a high position, she just got promoted, she's stressed out, and then, and if let's say it's the beginning of her cycle. Okay, she woke up, she first day of a new job, and then bam, she has her on flow, like right there. So of course we all go like, I don't know about y'all, but the moment I used to see it, I used to go like, oh God, like, oh, okay, fine. Me being a womb healer, I'm being very open about this. I used to go like, okay, so the whole sphere changes. Like, okay, do I have the necessary sanitary wear? Because I used to be a heavy bleeder, so that's what I'm saying. Each one's different. So I'm like, do I have that? Am I ready? Or, and I have a long meeting, I need to sit in this meeting, am I prepared? Can I ask for a bathroom? Like, can I say, like, I need to go to the loo? And then be like, oh my God, you can't even sit in for a 3-hour meeting, bro, my bladder is only this big. So there's so many things that goes through our head, or literally my head. So like Luga said, and in her article about cortisol, so Cortisol literally makes you think and act different. Take away, Luga. We're waiting for you from your article.
Yes, of course. So every woman has actually you can test your cortisol levels, which I would definitely advise because it's different from each and every one of us.
Mm,
As per my
mm,
research, it's not the
mm,
same for everybody.
yes.
And
Mm,
you need to know yourself better, and you need to know your body better as well, in order for you to
mm,
know exactly how you can anticipate how you would react. How could you plan ahead before that you wouldn't face sudden surprises? And also keeping a healthy environment and diet is very important because the more you fall into this unhealthy lifestyle pattern, your cortisols would rise and you would also start to get PCOS. You know, we
yep.
always tend to ignore these warnings. We get
Mm,
these warning signs in our
mm,
bodies. The minute we
mm.
start to ignore this, we get all these, sicknesses, and that's when we actually face ourselves in unprecedented challenges.
I agree. And why do we ignore these signs?
Sometimes do we even have a choice, to be honest?
Exactly.
Because
Thank
we
you.
are focused on things. I mean, like I was telling before as well, we have so much to prove, right?
Yes.
And we are not forgiven for the slightest thing. I had a friend who had endometriosis.
Mm,
Um, and she almost had to be hospitalized on the first day of her period every month because
mm.
that's how much pain she was in. She had to teach at a school. She didn't
Hey.
get the job. And I remember she had classes, I think, dealing with grade 1 or 2. So these are little kids. And teachers
Aye.
who deal with that age group, you're not seated the entire time. You're walking around, you're doing so many things. She had to show up and do that because no one understood, right? And if she complained about it, 100% she would have lost her job. Right?
Whoa.
There are so many people. And also talking about stress. And I think this is why we really need to be pushing back against, even when we have toxic, horrible bosses, is that, see,
Mm,
research has shown that a lot of women who end up with things like cancer is because
mm, mm.
they're suppressing all of these emotions, right?
Yeah.
And the job market is so volatile, one slip and you're out.
Mm,
You will tolerate anything. Your
mm,
boss can be verbally abusive. I know people whose bosses, and these are male bosses, beating up female employees, and these employees stayed. They stayed because they had
wow.
no other choice. They were applying for jobs and not getting them. I'm not even
Wow.
joking when I think in some of these instances, even the cops were called, but then they were
Mm,
very influential, so nothing happened. But these people kept going back, and they kept. I remember one girl telling me she was dragged by her hair across the office, and people were finding trying
whoa.
to stop and everything. So
Wow.
people are putting up with anything and everything just to have that job. And imagine the stress that all these women are dealing with. And I'm not only
Yes.
talking about women. Again, in general, even men deal with a lot of stress. But
Yes.
in terms of things like cancers and like Luga mentioned, PCOS, endometriosis, a
Mm,
lot of this now research is showing that it's as a result of suppressing all of this stress.
mm,
This has to manifest in some way, and this is
mm,
how it's manifesting. So absolutely, I think it's time we start calling out these bosses. It's time we start, these things need to be in mainstream conversations. That is why
mm,
this topic was a little hard for me to write because a
mm.
lot of people are like, oh, isn't it a bit, controversial? I was like, you know what? I'm
Welcome to
going
my
to
world.
do that. Because people need to know that this is also a form of abuse. They may
It
not
is.
be outwardly cruel, but it is abuse, right? If
Mm,
somebody does something good and you're not praising them, it's very, very demotivating, right? It's just a little thing. It doesn't take you 2 seconds to say, oh, that was great.
mm, mm,
Say it. Why
mm,
not appreciate people for what they're doing?
mm,
So that's my thing. I strongly believe, again, I'm disappointed that in most times most of us did not have the guts to speak back or fight back. But then we grew up with that, and I was never this. I still surprised. People will be surprised based on my post. They think I'm very, very loud, outspoken kind of person. I am not. I was always very timid. I was not the argumentative type. I would avoid arguments at all costs. So that paired with being a millennial and being taught that, hustling and accepting everything is fine, I went along with it. I never said a word. I just never pushed back, not once. So I'm so happy, honestly, that the current generation, they're doing that. Slowly but surely, I mean, we have to demand better. We have to. Because this is a huge thing. It's not just, oh, my boss treated me badly, now I'm having a bad day. No, this can lead to something serious. And when you have things like endometriosis, cancers, PCOS, that is horrible. Right?
All
No one
of that. See, you're talking about cancer, you're talking about PCOS, you're talking about endometriosis. All of that, it starts from your menstrual cycle. It starts with your menstrual cycle. Like it is shown that when you're getting into your bleeding stage, if your cortisol is extremely high, your womb will not shed itself properly. That means it is going to store blood. And let me put it in a different way. That means it's going to store data of abuse, of neglect, of abandonment, of pain, of suffering. It's going to store that data and literally send it back into the body, up to the brain, to process again. So you're literally not like releasing or detoxing your previous cycle's trauma because of that 10-hour window. When you get 10-hour window, when you get in the menstrual cycle, you're just going to get into your bleeding phase. All your hormones are just working perfectly to get in that, and you get a shock. Boom. And your womb goes like,
that genuinely, now speaking about this, I got a little sidetracked, but it's still connected in the sense that these subjects, these topics in Sri Lankan schools, I know for sure most of the teachers just would skim over it or ask us to read it at home and not really go into detail. They would explain it in a very superficial way so that it feels very distant, like this could not happen to you. This is not, like, even as women, the way they explained women's health, you didn't feel very connected to it. You felt like it's another subject, not that, these are things that could actually happen to me. These are things I need to be mindful of. We were not taught of this properly, right? And genuinely, everyone needs, whether you're a man or a woman, right? You need to be made aware of all of these things. Education is so important. So that's why when it comes to office settings, we are unable to understand and name what's happening to us because we always do things in a very disconnected way, in a very technical way, not that this relates to us in any way.
Yeah, in a very mechanical way. And that's the way they've created it.
Exactly. Right. And who does that system benefit?
Because see, the women in clinical trials, they were only included in the 1990s. In clinical trials, women were included in the 1990s. So even to test out menstrual blood, they did not take the real menstrual blood, because menstrual blood is a different composition. It's not like your normal blood that's pouring through your body. No. And menstrual blood differs from women to women, and it differs based on what life cycle she's in. For example, a 17-year-old's menstrual blood is completely different composition to a 27-year-old who's given birth. Even better, a 27-year-old who hasn't given birth and who has given birth, the menstrual blood is different. So there are so many complexities. Science is literally like okay, let's just go with rat's blood. As
But the
simple as
saddest
that.
thing is that a lot of research, the way it's done, is not focused on women, which is
No,
pathetic, to be
it's
honest,
harmful.
right? Because
Yeah.
recently I saw this female scientist talking about the fact that she was doing doing a lit review basically on studies done on PCOS. And she
Mm.
said a lot of the studies she found were, how does living with a partner who has PCOS affect men?
Affect men. Yes, yes, I saw that.
That's really the priority right now. Not treating women who have
No,
PCOS, understanding it better. I mean, still, no one understands PCOS perfectly,
no,
right? It's such a complex thing. No one understands it. And at the same time, it's ironic that there's barely any proper research being done focused on
no
women.
funding. No funding.
That's
There's no
true.
funding. That is where the whole thing is. There is no funding. All the bloody funding are going to men's genital parts, and all the billion-dollar fundings are going to men's prostate cancer, not breast cancer. Breast cancer awareness is just very recent. It's very recent. And a lot of funding is, and like you said, this PCOS, there's another research of PCOS, how PCOS affects the sexual relationship with your man.
Oh, I saw this too.
And I'm like, and like, first of all, she doesn't want to have sex with him most of the time because her hormones are all over the place. Judging, I'm talking as a PCOS survivor. I'm talking as a PCOS survivor. I healed my PCOS. At that time, nobody knew it was PCOS. Like, I used to go crazy, and my husband was like, "What is wrong with you?" I don't know. Rage one moment, 10 minutes later, "Oh, I love you so much." And he's like, "There's something wrong with you." I'm like, "This is hormones, my hormones." So I said, as a PCOS survivor, I know what it's like. You live in, let me give you an example. In your head, there are 10 massive cinema screens working. That's how it feels. Like you're being pulled here, you're being pulled there, you're being pulled everywhere. Like one moment you're emotional, one moment you're angry. Within 5 minutes, I used to go through different kinds of emotions. And that
Wow.
was because of the insulin level in my body was so unstable. That led to the PCOS. So when
Wow.
I started working on my sugar levels and my insulin levels, things started shifting. Still, what would I be called? Hysterical. Freud was the one who coined the hysterical woman. So I would be called hysterical, drama queen, victim. Nobody knew the pain I was going through.
That's true.
Because
Very
nobody,
misunderstood.
to
Very
be
misunderstood.
fair, you need to have a level of understanding to misunderstand.
Yes. That's
There
what that's
is
the
no
point actually.
there's no understanding. There's no research. There's no information because there's no funding.
Very sad. And
It's
see,
very sad.
but a lot of these things have to do with stress.
Yeah, has to
And
do
that
with
is
stress.
why again, I keep circling back to the fact that even in your workplace where you spend
Yeah,
significant amount of time, it has to be an environment that's conducive to your health and overall well-being. Not only
that
physical
see.
health, but also your mental health, which people don't realize the connection between the two and how it's important to have a balance in both to be considered healthy. Because we always think
But for
about physical health. We don't think
but
about
but for us, but for women, there's an additional menstrual health.
yes, yes, something that we absolutely need to talk to. I think so. Nowadays, people are more receptive to
Mm,
information
mm.
and to being taught. And that's why, again, these need to be discussed more in public. We need to welcome more conversations on these things. So
Mm.
even this topic on horrible bosses, I again
Mm.
had names of people telling me, oh, I didn't realize this was what was happening. This is, you've described my boss to a T. Like, I did not realize that this is something that was an issue, right?
Exactly.
So it's not like I'm creating an issue out of thin air. It's just that sometimes we haven't really named something like this, right?
And
Because
we haven't,
like in
again,
movies and shows
why,
everywhere, in
why haven't
discourse.
we named it?
Sorry.
Why haven't we named it?
I think in a way, this is a newer form of abuse at work. Not that it hasn't existed, these things have always existed. But now no one really accepts that outwardly cruel boss.
Mm.
You know, bosses are
The
getting dragged for issues and, for mistreating employees, they're getting sued, they're losing their jobs. So you can't be outwardly cruel, right? But these things, like how do you say, oh, my boss is being passive aggressive, or my boss is not supportive or does not understand? Like, how can you drag them for that?
Mm.
How can you really call them out for that? Right? So that is why this is not something that we have named so far. And again, having these conversations, maybe people will hopefully start thinking about it.
Mm.
Abuse is
Also,
abuse.
when
Just physical abuse is what people think of, and
yeah.
verbal abuse.
Mm. See, that's another thing, right? Where we don't have a name. We haven't labeled it because we are conditioned not to look at it as abuse.
Mm.
If we look at it as abuse, I mean, if the authorities or even our guardians, if they taught us that this is abuse and we looked at it abuse, that means they kind of failed us. They didn't protect us. So it comes round and round to this concept of, oh, it's not that bad. It's not that
Yeah.
crazy. I mean,
Not the cruel boss,
yeah, I
He's
mean,
not
come
beating
on.
you up, shouting at you.
Yeah, I mean, your boss didn't lay a finger on you. I mean, your boss was just upset that, this thing didn't happen. So come on, cut the person some slack.
Exactly.
Cut the person some slack. I mean, come on, they're going through something tough, and they have to. The most favorite thing that people used to tell me is, oh, that person, that your boss, they have a boss who must be screaming down their neck. So, and to keep the peace here, they would have to accept abuse from there. So, and then, so come on, it's not like you are in front of the CEO and the CEO is trying to threatening to fire you. No, so it's not that bad for you. So we are always taught to minimize it. Don't
Yes.
rock the boat.
Yes.
It's the rocking of the boat. And as always, I'm going to go gender on this. The rocking of the boat by a male colleague is accepted. It is accepted. Oh my God, he was so brave. He nearly lost his job, but he stood up for everybody. Okay. Now, if the female goes, what's wrong with her? Oh my God, who does she think she is? Superwoman? The
Women are so
criticism,
emotional.
the
That's what they say.
criticism that she will get for
Yes,
standing up.
true.
Have you noticed that? Like
Something we
women,
like to
they
say we're
criticize.
progressive.
Mm,
Even the Western countries to that extent, they are not.
yeah.
I mean, look at America, they still don't have a female president.
Yeah, my God, the amount of crap they had to
I mean,
pay. They
these are all
still.
just conversations and oh, we're so progressive things that are said, but where's the action? So the world is really in some ways not as progressive as it likes to think it is.
Yeah. See,
And I
in India, in Bangalore is the first state. Bangalore is not a state, Bangalore is a city, but the state of Karnataka is the first state that has given 12 days leave for menstruation.
oh, I saw that.
Yeah, for menstruation. And I was like, India? India? Wow, not America or any of the so-called European countries. Good old Mother India? Wow, that was nice. That made me feel good because it was Norway, right? Was it Norway that has Portugal? One is Portugal and one is Norway. These two countries have recognized menstrual sick leave.
Sick leave, yeah.
Sick leave, menstrual sick leave, that they can take sick leave for menstruation stuff. And okay, these are European countries, right? So like, okay. So everyone was like, okay. And when I saw this, I'm like, thank you. Shame on all of you all. but but see, you have to, the thing is, menstruation is as old as Eve, as Hawa alayhi salam. It is nothing new. So Hawa alayhi salam couldn't give birth unless she was menstruating.
Yeah.
Please, let's have that conversation. So when we have menstruation, when a girl gets her first period, oh my God! In some places, some countries, the mother was like, even I actually a couple of years ago, I did a poll where the women were telling me, no, my mother just shoved a pad into my hand into the washroom and said, put that on and don't talk about it. And I was like, what? Yeah, and
Wow.
then another one was like, oh yeah, that's something you'll get. Just clean up and come out. I was like, but for me, it was a ceremony, a literal
I didn't
ceremony.
want one. I was like, no way. I was like, that's so silly. So I
Yeah,
didn't.
for my daughter, we didn't even do anything. We didn't do anything. For me, it was the whole like, what is the wedding ceremony? To be fair, like I'm an older generation, right? So that means my parents are even older generation, and being
No,
the
it's
first
still
girl.
gonna happen. I saw recently a post where again they had like a huge event to celebrate it.
Yeah, yeah. In India, it's 7 days. It's a 7 day event
Yeah, it's a
where the
long
girl
thing.
is dressed up every single day. She's dressed up like in a very nice bridal, whatever dress, and she's
Yeah.
sitting, and relations come, give her money, give her gold. To be fair, I got all the gold and the money and everything also. So, so I ain't complaining. My daughter, when we went back home, yeah, her grandparents and her aunts and all, they gave her gold and money as well. So she's like, "Oh, this is fun." I'm like, yeah. It happens only once in a lifetime. Don't get used to it. Not every cycle. So I mean, see, because it is celebrated. It is celebrated. Because that means there's a huge transition happening in the world. It is celebrated. But then we don't need to go all out and then publicize it like oh yeah, like I had a cousin who was like, oh my God, they made the world know that we are a couple. I was like, I didn't think it like that. She's like, yeah, mom, my mom just made us like that. I'm like, holy cow, really? But yeah, she's a millennial, so that's how she'll talk. I'm like, huh? Really? So it's a celebration, and the child and the girl needs to be taught that you come of age, things gonna happen, there may transition, and that see the ancient practices are that. Like when you get married, like in the ancient practices, when you get married, when you're pregnant, when you're 7 months pregnant and stuff like that, all these rituals, they're steeped in frequency. For example, when they're 7 months pregnant, they have this ceremony where the Hindus have this ceremony. Muslims have a different kind of ceremony. And I'm like, okay, if I go talk about the Sunnah and stuff like that, yeah, we will stop having any relations anyhow. So, so the Hindus have that ceremony where they put bangles. And the reason is the sound, the jingling of the bangles activates the neurocircuitry of the unborn child. Can you hear me? Okay. Guys, RIHAAB is frozen. I do not know what just happened. Okay, so let me continue until she comes online. So, like I said, in India, this is how it works, and that is to that is so that the jingling of the bangles actually activates the brain of the unborn child. So that's based on frequency. So, like I was saying, everything. One moment, okay, I'll continue. Everything with regards to a female life is precious, is sacred. And we go through different transitions, we go through different situations, and each of that state is absolutely important. Each state is important. Each transition is important for a female. This is why it's different from the sacred females to the sacred male. People have to understand that a sacred female does not behave, the sacred females, our system does not behave like a sacred male. We're completely different. Our hormones are different, the way we function is different, and that is why the way we metabolize stress, the way we handle stress is different. So at the beginning of this episode, RIHAAB was saying how she went for a crown and how she feels uncomfortable with regards to this crown. So that is how females are. I mean, it takes us time for a change, to get into a change. It takes us time to get into a transition. And that's fine. But the way the world is created, especially in the workspace, we are expected to jump through hoops in a matter of like seconds without a batting of an eyelid, without overthinking this. But our system doesn't work like that. We don't have a 24-hour clock. We have a 28 to 32 days cycle. It doesn't just end on a 24-hour basis. So guys, I do not know what happened to RIHAAB. It's breaking up a lot, she says. Okay, so I think I will end this episode. Okay, let me finish. So with RIHAAB and with Luga, we were speaking about stress and how stress affects our body and how high cortisol just messes things up for us, messes the way we see things, messes the way we perceive things, messes our brain chemistry. And we, as female leaders in a workspace, we sometimes find it difficult to be empathetic, because it is also because we feel as women, like we feel like, okay, I've come through this, I've come across this, I went through it, so you also can go through it. Yeah, basically that's what's been happening. So I'm going to end this episode now. So to wrap it up, we're sacred. You're sacred. Don't deny your sacredness, and know that you're more complex than you give yourself credit. And understand yourself, get to know yourself, understand how you function, know your cycle. And based on that, we really can see how we can take it, how we can go forward. Okay. Jazakallah khair for joining. It was a very interesting episode. There are some Wi-Fi issues, but inshallah, next episode we would have RIHAAB completely till the end, inshallah. So until then, Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.